Welcome to Coffee with Joe for September 23rd, 2010. It's a Thursday. Joe, it's been about a month since we posted a Coffee
Great.
with Joe. My mom passed away a few weeks ago, and I was spending some time with her. And Joe's been here manning the helm at the Institute. We had our annual meeting out on Kettle Pond in Groton State Forest up here in Vermont last weekend. Had a great outing, discussed many of the policy issues that are before us, and got a resounding input from the membership out there that we need to connect this story of monetary reform to people's lives today, make it relevant. Now, lots of stuff going on, Joe. We've got the American Monetary Institute's annual conference will be in Chicago next weekend. Joe and I
Yep.
will be there. Now, at that conference last year, Joe, the big news was Dennis Kucinich addressed the conference by video and committed to releasing the American Monetary and Financial Security Act by the end of the year, I believe is what he said at that time. A lot's gone on in the last year in Congress. Healthcare reform took quite a bit of time, and Kucinich has not entered that bill yet. And there's some rumors that it will be entered before the conference. I'm getting a little skeptical at this point. I'll believe it when I see it. But Joe, you've been feeling some urgency in getting this bill entered. So
Yeah.
what? Why now?
Well, Pete, certainly, there has been a lot of, of stuff going on, and Dennis Kucinich's plate is so big, is so great, because he's on all the issues. But, and then this is, to Dennis Kucinich, there are things happening in the world right now. There are things happening in the national economy right now. There's a great deal of suffering, already coming down as a result of the financial crisis caused by, the debt money system, that if we don't put in the mix the very real fact of reforming the monetary system as the alternative solution to the solutions that are being put forward by the people that presently control the money system, the present money system that we have, it'll never happen. And there's basically two things that are happening, Pete. On the national level, we find the Democrats and the Republicans incapable of responding to the fact that that we need to deficit spend, Pete, in order for us to maintain any aspect of I wouldn't even say prosperity. I will say civility. In terms of the national economy. So we have the national economy in dreadful shape, as a result of the failure of the monetary system. And we have, the Peterson Group basically leading the charge, even with the blessing of the Obama administration, to bring us, more austerity, Pete. So our future right now is more austerity. And people have to understand more austerity means less wages, means less employment. It means less health care. It means less education. It means less environmental protection. It means less of all of the things that you and I and most people would agree that we're entitled to as a result of being citizens of this country in the pursuit of happiness. We really can't pursue happiness without health care, education, clean environment, wages and employment and all of that stuff. No, it's not possible, Pete. So
Joe,
either,
Joe,
yeah,
there was somebody in the Reagan administration, I'm forgetting his name, I believe he was in the Reagan administration, who wanted to basically starve the beast of big government
oh yeah,
fiscally.
oh yeah.
And so that's what's going on.
Well, yeah, because they don't say that. I mean, actually, some people do say that. Certainly the Tea Partiers say that. The Tea Party. Imagine, Pete, the Tea Party. They take their name from the Boston Tea Party, which was a struggle by the colonies against the British for not allowing them to have their own monetary system. You know, and here we are trying to restore monetary sovereignty to this country. And there are the Tea Partiers out there, railing against government. You know, well, when we, in order to have our people's monetary system, we need to have act to the government in order to implement it. But but yeah, I mean, basically all of that stuff, Pete, is about we don't want any more taxes. If you don't have any more taxes and you can't deficit spend, then you can't have government. You know, so was it Norquist? It might have been Grover
Grover
Norquist,
Norquist. Grover Norquist.
the guy who wanted to flush the government down the last drain
Yeah.
hole. So Pete, on the national level, right now, the both the Democrats, well, the Democrats, you say it to the Democrats because those are the people that you hope, will do something against, the richness of the Republicans, but they don't have a clue about money, Pete. They don't have a clue about monetary systems. They don't have a clue about the potential for monetary reform. They don't have a clue about the significance of using the power of the government in order to basically ensure prosperity,
Yeah.
Pete.
Even
So
our Bernie Sanders doesn't understand.
even our Bernie Sanders. So this is an open letter to Bernie Sanders and to Dennis Kucinich. That we really need to do something here. Taking the old tax and the old tactics, TACKS, and the old tactics that they are not going to work. But Pete, that's what's going on at the national level. Okay, but also, and again, this goes to the need for doing this right now. We had a financial crisis that was caused by what? Nobody has actually said. Nobody has actually invented. Basically, the IMF and the Bank for International Settlements in their investigation say really it was caused by the procyclicality of the they call it the financial system. Okay, that led to financial instability. Well, the procyclicality of the monetary system is what it really was, Pete, okay? But they don't find that. They don't need to find that. Rather, the group of 20 gets together, Pete, okay? They say, I don't know what just happened, but we need to do something to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So let's get together and agree that whatever we can come up with, we're going to all agree to abide by it. And they've done that. They've signed papers, and they're committed, and they've got the International Monetary Fund working on coming up with their proposals. And, you hear some of it now, the implementation of Basel III's increased capital requirements, which all that does really, Pete, really all it does is increases the capital cushion for the banks. And they say, oh, therefore for the financial system, therefore for the economy. Forget it. It's really for the banks. So, yeah, that's a great idea of what to do for the banks to make sure that the banks, can be healthy, no matter what happens next. Well, that's like sort of part A of it. But part B, that the IMF is also working on is this whole new concept, Pete, that's coming about in monetary policy of the world, just like quantitative easing was a whole new concept to come about, Pete. And that concept today is called fiscal space. Now, the term fiscal space means fiscal space for any country to issue more debt, for any country to issue more national debt. Okay? So think about that, Pete. They're going to have higher capital requirements, and those things can change over time depending on stability, depending on the need for stability. The greater instability, the greater the need for stability, the greater the capital requirements are going to be, the more cushion is going to be available to the banks. But when it comes to the national governments, Pete, okay, they're saying that they're going to come up with a bunch of metrics primarily related to debt to GDP with some other stuff thrown in there like what's the future of interest rates and stuff, but primarily related to the fact that some countries can't afford to issue any more debt by this fiscal space standard, okay? So if those two things ever get adopted by the G20, that there's a real agreement, of course it would have to be ratified by our Congress, but our Congress is running scared of the deficit hawks, or of the austerity, the army, So our Congress is totally ill-advised. They have no frame of reference against which to judge any of these proposals. So what do we need, Pete? We need that additional frame of reference. We need that alternative frame of reference against which all of the austerity that's coming down, and the austerity, Pete, what we've seen so far is nothing. It's the tip of the iceberg compared to what's coming, what is still out there to come down in terms of the toxic assets and the failures, bank failures, and all that other stuff, Pete. So there we are, Mr. Kucinich. Could there ever be in history a greater time than right now for the need to put in the American Monetary and Financial
Security
Act.
Yeah.
We need it right now, Congressman. We need it right now. Please, please, Bernie Sanders, please pay attention, because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves in a new monetary policy world in which people do not matter. That's all there is to it, Pete.
Well, thanks for those thoughts again, Joe. See you next week at the conference. Probably won't be doing a coffee with Joe. Maybe we can sneak one in early next week.
Yeah,
But
it would be good.
till the next time.
All right, Pete.
See you, Joe.
Thank you.